This is the Red Pill Reich. Today we're going to talk about the Mercosur. I had another video about this on my old channel, but of course it got deleted. The Mercosur is an acronym that stands for the Mercado Común del Sur, or the Market Common of the South, or the Southern Common Market. It's a trade bloc similar to the European Union, very similar to that. These countries got together, essentially all of South America with the exception of French Guiana, got together and came up with this. And it's a way for them to trade amongst themselves without the duty fees and all this crap, and they can potentially grow economically greater than they would as individual entities. Okay, so it's a merger amongst these different countries here. There's the full members that are Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, and Paraguay. And then there's the associate members, which is the rest. The only real difference is the full members get to vote in elections in other countries, and somehow I'm not really familiar with all that, but the only country that was never part of this was French Guiana. And Venezuela used to be a full member, but they got kicked out due to some human rights violations while they were collapsing. And they weren't holding to the democratic ideals of the merger. So they got kicked out. But for the purposes that most of the guys in the manosphere are going to be interested in, I'm just going to talk about how this can actually be beneficial for you as a traveler if you wanted to become a citizen in one of these countries. For example, here in Peru, if you become a citizen, you get a national ID card. And then as a Mercosur, they even call them Mercosur citizens, you can now travel just with that ID card to any of these other countries, for example, Brazil. And you can do whatever you want. I mean, you can work and live there. Now, if you wanted to become a resident, you will need a passport for that. But you don't even need a passport to travel if you're already a citizen of one of these Mercosur countries. You can, if you wanted to become a resident, it is very seamless, easy, straightforward process. You can just go and you'll need your passport, and they'll probably just do a criminal background check. And if all that is cleared out, you're good to go. So as someone who, if you wanted to be a traveler and maybe live in another country, that is another advantage that South America has over some of these other places like Southeast Asia. You can go between these countries once you become a citizen. In some of these Asian countries, it's very hard to even become a citizen unless you give up your American citizenship. Or who's going to do that? Okay, and then the languages are very different between those different countries. Whereas here in South America, you know, it's mostly all Spanish with the exception of Brazil's Portuguese. French Guiana is French, but they're not even part of it. And then I believe Suriname is Dutch, and Guyana is English. So, you know, for all the countries that you really want to go to, Spanish, if you're fluent in Spanish, you're good to go. And even in Brazil, the language is very similar to Spanish. I mean, if you speak fluent Spanish, you shouldn't have a problem getting around, okay? As long as they speak clearly and slowly and with no slang, you shouldn't have a problem. So it's, and the culture is European, you know, based. You know, most of these countries are Christian, so it's very similar in a lot of these countries. Sure, there's going to be slight cultural differences, but for the most part, it's very similar. So a lot less culture shock and differences going from one nation to another like it would be in Southeast Asia. So that's one of the good things you might be able to, you know, enjoy if you wanted to become a citizen of one of these countries that you can't find in most of these other places, you know. So now, you know, this is something you're not going to get from most of these other guys in the manosphere. They're not talking about this because guys like QB Willie and these dudes, they don't know shit, okay? They'll just be able to tell you where the best whorehouses are and where the red light districts are at, and where you can get the best drugs and shit. All right, but this is something I haven't seen anybody else in the manosphere even bring up. And again, this is the second time I've made this video. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You can look into this and find out more information, but that pretty much sums it up. So until next time, ciao.